everyone, and welcome to the Stately Office Hours. Every week we're here at the same time to discuss what's going on in the world of Stately and XState. We love to have your questions, and if you've got any, please just ask us in the YouTube comments or tweet us with hashtag Stately Office Hours. Or if you are a member of our Discord, which you can join if you follow discord.gg/XState, you can ask us in our Office Hours channel that we've got on there. Now, this week, we've got a variety of things to talk about, and so I thought we would just get on with it. Mm-hmm. And so how about we start with you, David? Introduce yourself quickly first, and then what do you want to talk about this week?
Hi, I'm David, the founder of Stately. And I just wanted to mention that we are starting to do more live streams and collaborative streams with a bunch of people on just making awesome state machines live. We did one with Jake Dom last week, and also on the Keyframers, which I actually made a banner. I'm learning how to use StreamYard.
Nice.
By bit. But on the Keyframers, we are talking about, for the last 2 weeks, doing what's called the 7 GUIs. And so the 7 GUIs is a series of, I guess, UI challenges ranging from easiest, such as a simple counter or a temperature converter, to hardest, which is basically making a mini Excel spreadsheet app, with JavaScript. And so we're tackling each of those challenges one by one live on the Keyframers every week. So if you go to keyframe.rs and subscribe, you'll be able to see our creative process in thinking about how to actually model these state machines from scratch. So if you are interested in maybe joining us and working through some state machine problems in a live stream, then feel free to let us know.
There's a cool domain name as well. Wow. I love that.
Yeah. I don't know what the RS is for, but yeah, glad it was available.
And the one that you did with Jake is also on this YouTube channel here. And yes. Which were the GUIs that you did recently?
So on the Keyframers, we did the 7 GUIs. Let me try to find the link to it. But we did the first 4 so far. And so these, it's a, here, let me just copy this link over here and put it on the banner. But it was a counter, a temperature converter, a flights booking app, and then a, a timer. So that was pretty interesting. The next challenge is CRUD. So basically to do MVC on steroids. Then a circle jar, which is going to be Canvas. So that's going to be really interesting. And then finally, cells. And I still don't know how we're going to do cells, but I'm pretty sure it's going to make heavy use of the actor model in there. 1 actor for each of those cells. So, yeah.
So they get harder as you go through them from 1 to 7.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to be putting those in the examples directory as we complete them too.
Great. And let's go to you, Matthias, seeing as the comments are about the fact that we've managed to get you out of your attic. I think you've just got a fancier background this week. Mm. What have you got to talk about this week? And who are you as well?
Who I am. I'm a favorite maintainer of your favorite maintainer. But on a more serious note, just a junior programmer on the Stately team. And I don't know.
That is a very humble description. He's not junior.
I'm open for answering any questions. I don't have any specific topics to talk about myself this week.
Okay. And Matt, how about you?
Hello, I'm another junior programmer on I'm very junior. If
everyone's a junior here.
Is junior, yeah, junior for life.
I'm definitely a junior.
That's my motto.
Yeah, junior for life, but always just a bit more junior than Enderist. That's the thing. So what I wanted to discuss something which has been kind of playing around my head at the last couple of days, which is there's an outstanding PR in XState, which is going to improve the Typescript declarations for actions and for hopefully conditions and services. And I've not been sort of involved in this at all. I kind of just been kind of picking around the edges of it, but this is David's PR, I think, right? So I'd love, David, if you could just I'd love to just hijack this opportunity for you to talk me through it as well, because I'm kind of interested.
Oh, yeah, sure. So we do have some PRs coming through. One is for V4 and one is for V5. So we recently merged, I think as of last week or before, a PR for Create's model for adding actions in there too. It's been highly requested that we have strongly typed actions, and now it's getting closer to being possible. So we also are, we have a PR that both cleans up the way that actions are typed. So you're going to have much better typing with actions in V4 pretty soon, and also introduces actions to schema. Now, this is something that Matthias and I are still working on. So, we just need to fix a few tests and maybe add some more tests and clean some stuff up. And yeah, hopefully have that go in. But the idea is that you define the shape of your actions. Like, let's say you have a type of greet and you have a message. And so when you're entering either entry, exit, or transition actions, those are going to be strongly typed. Not only from the making sure all the properties are in there, but also making sure that, like, when you start typing, it gives you a suggestion of actions that you could do rather than just flying blind. So I think that that's going to be a really useful PR.
So the benefits are autocomplete on actions, like on action names, and then autocomplete on, is there any kind of verification between, like, the action, let's say you have a greet action, and you want to pull something from context, let's say like a message from context. Is there any verification that that pull is going to work, or am I misunderstanding something there?
So no, these are for static action objects. And so in version 5, we're actually, we're making that a lot more clear, where you have, the default should be static action objects, but you could also have dynamic actions. And a lot of XState's built-in actions are dynamic actions. For example, assign, you don't know what it's going to assign to until you actually, evaluate the transition and everything. And yeah, we might make that available for user land too, but we just need to make that distinction between dynamic and static actions. So this typing specifically is for just static action objects.
Cool, very exciting.
Yeah,
it's kind of, we've been talking in the office hours for the last few weeks about, TypeScript, how committed we are to it. It's cool to have stuff that's going into core that's really just focused on TypeScript, basically.
Yeah. And trust me, TypeScript's a hard problem to solve, but it's definitely a priority. So just in case anyone's worried.
Indeed. Laura, do you have anything to talk about?
Well, yeah, what I wanted to talk about is the fact that 4 of us are going to be speaking at React Finland next week. If I can actually get up the actual talks as well. So David will be talking on Monday about the state of XState. I've actually got a banner here as well, so you can find the website. There we go. So David will be kicking us off, and then you have a mega session with 3 of us, where I will be introducing state machines and state charts. So basically talking about the stuff that I've been learning as I've been learning about state machines and state charts. Fazal will be talking about the actor model, a new mental model for React. And Matt, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about making legacy code delightful with state charts. I went for the pizzazziest title I could. But
it's a great title.
It's basically all about how hard it is to divine the intent of lots of React code, and how state machines just make it a lot easier.
I think it's going to be a really good session if you want to sort of get into XState. That session's really going to take you from the basics to the meat of what's going on, which I think is really cool.
It's such a big topic as well. It's so cool that you're speaking first and really introducing state charts, and then me and Farzad are going to do more React-focused topics as well. So if you're using XState in a React context, it's unmissable, I would say.
Absolutely. And that will be on the 1st of September, which is Wednesday. So there's a couple of days between our talks and David's talk, because David's special. He's opening it up.
Yeah, I also wanted to mention sandwiched in between there. So August 30th is my talk. September 1st is everyone else's talk. on August 31st, we are going to actually be publicly releasing, I'm committing to this now, we're going to be publicly releasing the visualizer and the registry. We have some awesome fixes and community feedback that we want to incorporate in there first, plus, promo material, educational material, and all of that. And so, in the office hours, of course, you were the first to know. So thank you so much for basically trying out our beta and giving us lots of feedback. So we're going to release it. By the way, it's still going to be free and open source. But yeah, that's going to be on Tuesday, right between our talks. And so the reason it's on that day is just because it's like a 1-year anniversary from when I released the inspector and before this company even started. So it's just going to be a special day.
It's a good way to celebrate the end of the summer as well.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the summer for our parts of the world. That's obviously not summer in other parts of the world.
In Florida, summer never ends.
It never stops being summer in Florida, yeah.
Nope.
I don't think we have summer here in Ireland. It is autumn all the way.
Not seen one yet, no.
So we've got some questions. Eric has got a 3-parter, so bear with me as I go through this. As I push XState on my team, I'm getting the question, should all states live in XState? When to put things in UState or React context? My intuition is that isDrop open can live in UState, but almost everything else should be in XState. And potentially form values can live in a form library. Whew.
Which one?
It's a biggie.
Yeah, that's a big question. And so as we talk about more, about the actor model, which I'm really glad that Farzad is going to be talking about that at React Finland. I know Eric has been working on Redux a lot in the past. He actually made Redux Form, which is a popular form library that graduated to React's Final Form, or just Final Form. You could use it with any framework. And I also made a React's Redux Form at around the same time as him, which terrible mistake. Form libraries are very painful. But anyway, it sort of takes the opposite approach from Redux. So should all state live in XState? The answer is no. XState, the machines should be orchestrators. So just like an orchestra conductor isn't exactly expected to know every instrument or to play every instrument. Instead, they are supposed to direct. And so each other instrument or actor has its own states. And so the only state that should live in XState is what is directly relevant to the machine and what it should control. So, for example, if you have form values that live outside of XState in the form library, people have been integrating XState with Formic a lot. I've seen, or Final Form. I know Erica, you have that Final Form library, and it's completely fine to have those values live outside of XState, but when XState, the orchestrator, needs to know about them, you send an event and you communicate, hey, I have this updated value, you should do something about it. So yeah, keep it isolated and just keep the actor model in mind and don't try to shove absolutely everything in XState. It's the opposite of Redux.
And one thing worth noting is that stuff like is drop-down open is probably not really relevant to your business logic. So it's a very good candidate to keep it outside, even only to not complicate your machine. That should be more focused on user stories and etc. And using reusable component libraries is probably the way to go here. Just don't re-implement this kind of stuff yourself.
Yeah, if you feel like you're a hammer seeing everything as a nail, then you've probably gone too far. And XState is really good at managing. If you think of hooking between one library and another, there's kind of got to be a side effect in the middle there, or an event sent between them, or something, some way to link them together. And XState is so good at them.
Yeah, XState's more like a woodworking shop, not a hammer. You could bring other tools in, I think that analogy makes sense.
It's more like
it's a good analogy.
Drill. Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Hello, Farzad.
Oh.
We've already talked, Farzad, about the talks that we're going to give next week, and we mentioned that you're going to be speaking about the actor on React. Do you have anything else to add or anything else that you wanted to bring to the discussion this week?
No, there's just so much material about actor model, but there's just so little knowledge about how to apply that to the front-end development, and especially in the context of, like React components composition. So I'm quite lost at the moment, trying to squeeze so much material, into a 15 minutes talk, but we'll get there.
Yeah, it's definitely new territory, at least for the front end. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the advantages. If you mess up with the talk, nobody will understand.
It's my strategy.
Well, maybe if you have too much material, you'll be able to make enough for another talk that you can give some time or use for a screencast on our channel, something like that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I already asked in the actor models channel on Discord what the community needs to know or to hear about, like the actor model. People suggested a few ideas. I'm going to try my best to include those in the talk, but let's see.
Fantastic. So following on, I think from Eric's question, we have a question from John. So I can define the shape of an action in create modal and then pass the implementation into options parameter. This is getting quite specific, but if you could visualize that.
Yeah. So what I was talking about earlier with the PR that's coming in, that's exactly what you're going to be able to do.
It's referring to what you said. Yeah. Great. A question from our friend Aris. How do you manage communication and work as a team while being distributed around the world? Is it mostly async?
I could talk about that first. So most of our team is actually celebrating Friday afternoon right now, and I am stuck in Friday morning. So the way I do that is I try to wake up early, but I think my team enjoys me not being there all the time, which is fine. So as I'm sleeping, they're working, and it's totally fine. We try our best to just do async communication by default, and I think it's working pretty well. Just the fact that we're so responsive to each other, especially on Discord and GitHub, it's working out pretty well. But I could let the rest of the team talk about it if they'd like.
It's going super well. There's me, Farzad, Mateus, and Laura. We're only about an hour apart, so we're kind of, the time zone of Stately. It's really all about us. So David's got to commit to those 5 a.m. wake ups, I think.
Or I just got to move there. I don't know.
Well, but then Jenny's also in the same time zone as David, so
yeah, that's true.
That's not completely by himself.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's been working great so far. And we've been using GitHub as well and using Discord as well. So we communicate privately in the same place where the community is, which really helps as well.
Yeah, I think something that's key is that when we're communicating async, we just try to leave as many details as possible. Like Matt has been the king of Loom videos, so those are extremely helpful. And so it's like a meeting, but you don't have to be there, with that person at the exact same time. You could just go through the video, understand everything, and comment when you need to. And so that's important.
And it's like the meeting's on 2 times speed as well. That's very handy.
Yeah.
But we also have face-to-face discussions as well, face to virtual face, a couple of times a week. So that's a good way if we need to sort of discuss around issues and things like that are a bit sort of less specific than GitHub issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the team being small also helps with that. And I feel personally that despite being distributed in the world, we kind of think alike most of the time. And we read each other's mind, and that helps a lot with communication. We don't really need to communicate 90% of the time. We just think alike implicitly.
State machines give us telekinesis, really.
It's a hive mind.
Just kidding.
I think actually there's less of that and more that everyone's very good at explaining themselves quite concisely, and so that you do understand each other very well. I think that's I think to say that we are reading each other's minds is probably to not give people the credit that they deserve in how good, this is what I found, the rest of you are at explaining what you mean in text form.
If we've all developed a superpower, then we should probably take credit for it, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe we can sell it or something, I don't know.
A statement.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got a perfect question here from Rafael, given the background going on in Matthias's screen. What board games are you playing right now?
I don't have as much time as I would like to for that at the moment, having 2 kids. But I've played a little game, 2-player game called Botanic this week with a friend. Lately, I have been playing Paladins of the West Kingdom with my father-in-law. And most of the time I have to stick with cooperative board games because my life just likes them. So stuff like Pandemic, Ghost Stories, and more and more. Robinson Crusoe, a great Polish game.
It's not a bit much playing Pandemic at the moment.
We have been playing that before that, so but yeah, it's a little bit creepy.
Yeah, we've got it downstairs, and I can't say it's been opened since we've been experiencing a pandemic.
Yeah, that's a favorite of my wife, so I have to.
Carlos asked, what are the next steps after the Viz release?
That's a really great question. So in the background, as we're working on the visualizer and the registry, and by the way, the registry is going to just grow a lot more. We have many things planned, including some new snazzy designs. But we are also working on the editor at the same time. And so that's going to be the big release, hopefully by the end of the year. And hopefully a beta within, 2 months or so. And so for those who don't know, the editor, which I previously called the creator, but it's more of an editor, that's going to be a visual drag and drop editor for these state machines and state charts where you don't necessarily need to even code your state machines at all. Just drag, click 2 nodes together or link 2 nodes together. And it generates code or markdown or visual diagrams or whatever you want, and you could use it directly in your project. So we're super excited about that. And we also think that it's going to solve a lot of the problems with some of the hardships with coding them from scratch, like Typescript and, having typos, and just you're able to statically analyze these too. So long story short, the editor is the next big thing, hopefully coming out this year. And we're working hard on preparing that.
Great. We have a question from the Discord, our office hours channel. It seems like there is some overlap between Discord channels, example Viz help, and GitHub issues, e.g. in the Viz repo. Is there a preference between the two? I wonder if we all have the same thoughts on this.
Yeah, so I think personally the preference would be if you have quick questions, that goes in Discord. But if you have long questions, like you have a lot of code to share, or it's really a deeper problem that, solicits more discussion, then put it in GitHub, not GitHub issues, but the GitHub discussions. So that's at github.com/statelyai/xstate/discussions/new. And it's terrible that I memorized these URLs because I've had to type them out so many times. But yeah, put them in there. And then if they are actually issues, then we could easily convert them to issues. So again, short form, Discord, long form, discussions. And that's just so that we don't lose anything in the Discord channels.
Yeah, things could go by pretty quickly in there. And especially depending on the time of day as well. We have a question that we've had before, but I think it's a good one to keep answering. Also from the Discord from Meort, I hope I pronounced that correctly. How's Stately funded? What's the plan to keep food on your tables? Will it include new premium XState extensions or mostly concerned tooling around XState?
Yeah, so that is a question that we've answered before in one of the earlier office hours. Yeah, we do have, we thankfully have some funding, and we do have plans to monetize not XStates, but just like services and features that are related to XStates in the future. And actually not even related to XState, but just state machines and state charts in general. And so this is going to be things like, well, I'm not going to reveal too much, but just XState is always going to be free and open source, and so is the visualizer. Yeah, this is something that we're still thinking about, but yeah. You could go back to the previous office hours where we talked about that.
Yeah, we did cover it in more detail. And one of the things that has been requested is that we put descriptions with bookmarks into our office hours videos to make it easier for you to find the things we've discussed before. And I will get to doing that sometime soon. No promises on it being immediately, but I will try to get that done to make it easier for you to go back and find that previous information. Maybe we'll get some transcripts sorted. That would be quite useful.
Here's a suggestion, Laura. Maybe we could come up with an FAQ page or something like that we could explain these, common problems and common questions.
Yeah, that's the stately related things specifically as well. Yeah, that's a really good idea. Yeah, book that one for later. Right. Anybody have any other questions? You can always ask us on the YouTube comments or using hashtag stately office hours or in our Discord. I have got my eye on all of them. Questions that aren't about board games and kids.
We did have one asking whether we got any other parents on the team. I think it's only Farzad and Mateus, I think. Farzad, you've only got a little one.
Yeah.
Do dog parents count?
Cat parents?
Or cat parents?
Not the same thing.
No, not the same thing.
I'm sure.
Oh, John asks, how is the merch design coming along?
Ooh, that's a fun question for you, Laura. I guess we're both talking to the design team, but yeah, Laura's really taking the lead on that.
Well, I've been trying to work out what the best stuff to have is and how to distribute these things. This is all very tricky, but we'll get there in the end. But if anyone does have any particular requests of the things that they would wear on themselves or like to have in their offices and houses, make sure you let us know so that we can prioritize getting the things that people actually want. Right.
And our logo, by the way, is also going to be changing slightly. Just to be, I guess a little bit more rounded. I mean, you're still going to recognize it as a stately logo and the XState logo, but yeah, now we're going to have more consistent branding. So look forward to that.
Yeah, the designs that we've had done for that are really, really cool. And it's been fun starting to use them for things like slides. And if you saw the thumbnail for this video today is trying to use some of the new branding, and it will be nice to have all of that strong look and feel going on. So you'll be able to get a better idea of us. We have a question from Mark saying, what's the most fun thing you've worked on lately?
I'll let the others answer.
Yeah, we could go around the table, I think.
Yeah.
I don't mind going first. I've been, most of the stuff, the really fun stuff we get to work on is Research Mondays. So I've been working on XState Parser and working on kind of putting together the VS Code extension. So on Monday this week, I managed to get it working. So it took your state machine, pumped it into a VS Code thing, and opened up a state chart, basically, which was kind of a magical moment, really. So that's certainly been the most fun thing I've worked on lately. David, how about you?
Yeah, so I've been experimenting with the server side of XState. It's been a highly requested thing, like just how do you get XState to run on the server, and can it actually run workflows? And so I've been experimenting with that, and I also have a local project called XState Integrations, where I'm just experimenting with just how you could consume things like, I don't know, various APIs, Calendly, Gmail, or Google Calendar, or whatever. And like have them directly in XState, but also have them visualized too. So like in the editor, ideally you could have something where it's like, okay, in this date, I want to connect to Calendly and make an event. So just like you would use any other workflow editor for, just being able to drag and drop it there, I think would be absolutely magical. So that's something I'm really excited on working on, is XState server side.
How about you, Farzad?
Well, for the past 2 weeks, I've been roughly working on the embedded mode for the visualizer so that you get to embed that in pretty much anywhere else. And well, I'm glad to say that that's done. It's in code review right now. I'm working on the iframe, like the preview window right now, that you get to, like configure the iframe that you need for the embedded mode, and then something similar to Code Sandbox. And then you can also have a live preview of how it look like when you embed it, and then just grab the code and put it wherever you want. I was also experimenting with something else, and that's called getting the XState state chart configuration and turning that into a meaningful plain English and getting, the voice out of it. Just a way for the PMs to listen to the app logic that developers are writing. Yeah, it's very, very much hard-coded right now, but maybe we get to make it more dynamic later on. AI as in a bunch of ifs.
And how about you, Matthias?
So I was working on Monday on the browser extension, and I got it successfully rendered in the browser DevTools. So that was pretty exciting after going through hoops with the API and even some bugs in like a library that I was using to communicate between those things. So I think it should actually arrive not that much far in the future, but I need to figure out the bundling setup for this, and like the release process might need to do some adjustments in the inspector API in the XState core, but it's going along nicely. Just a few more Mondays to finish this up.
I'd say the most fun thing that I've been working on the last week was I was making some little tiny, very basic machines with states of dogs and using the visualizer for that. And it's just really fun. It's just really fun to be able to make your little machines and see how they work. So it may be simple, but I found it fun. We have Eric saying, more of a comment than a question, but it's a cool comment. I use the XState add-on for Storybook this week, and it kicks ass. Sounds very strange in my accent, ass. Any of you had experience with it?
I don't think I've seen it, actually.
No, neither. I've heard about it. I've heard that there is a plugin for Storybook, but yeah, if we integrate that with Farzad's embedded mode, I think that we could make that even more magical. So I keep using magical, but yeah.
I love it when we call it Farzad's embedded mode.
Yeah. It's like made by Farzad. We have it branded on the bottom.
There's a TM at the end.
Made with love by Farzad.
Any bugs go to Farzad, not us.
Exactly.
Oh man.
Well, I think that is everything that we had to discuss this week, unless any of you have anything else you would like to add. No? Fantastic. Well, it was not too short, but it was very sweet. And it was really nice talking with all of you. And we will see you again at the same time next week. Bye-bye.
See you guys.